Excuse me, ma. Please, I need some help. Adiz didn't look up immediately. Her crimson lips curled into a lazy smile as she scrolled through her phone, laughing at a meme she just shared with Cynthia, her colleague sitting opposite. Only when the voice repeated, deep, calm, and strangely commanding, did she tilt her head. Yes. What do you want? Her eyes barely left her screen, her tone clipped, sharp like the edge of her stiletto heels. The man standing before her wasn't what she expected. No designer suit, no Rolex flashing gold under the light, no whiff of that expensive Arabian perfume Lagos big men loved to bathe in. Instead, he wore a plain black polo, fitted jeans, and spotless white sneakers. Clean, yes. Handsome. Frustratingly so. But rich. In her books, men like him only brought stress and overdraft alerts. I need to speak with someone about a transaction, he said. His voice steady and polite. His dark eyes locked on hers with an unsettling calmness. Adiz clicked her tongue, feigning sympathy she didn't feel. Then sit and wait. Can't you see I'm busy? Cynthia stifled a laugh. Busy? They both knew she was only half working and half talking about the guy who took her out last night in a Range Rover. Adiz turned her attention back to the gist. Babe, like I was saying, imagine ordering a 75,000 Nigerian nairas bottle of wine without blinking. You go fear soft life. Ah, na real soft life. Cynthia squealed, forgetting the man still standing there. Chika watched them in silence, his face unreadable. Most men would have snapped at this point, demanded to see the manager, but he simply smiled, that slow, dangerous kind of smile that hides fire behind glass. He took a seat at the lounge, legs crossed, scrolling through his phone. Minutes crawled. Adiz attended to two men who came in after him, both dripping in designers, both speaking loudly about their businesses as if the entire banking hall was their stage. When the second man left, she finally called out without looking up. Oga, come. Let's make it quick, a beg. Chika rose, his 6 feet 2 inches frame casting a shadow across her glass cubicle as he walked up to her desk. Something about his presence made Adiz sit up straighter without realizing it. His cologne, subtle yet expensive, lingered in the air as he handed her his ATM card. Account number? She asked, trying to sound firm even though his steady gaze made her chest tighten for reasons she couldn't explain. He gave it. She typed lazily, popping gum as her acrylic nails clacked on the keyboard. So what do you want to do? Something urgent, he replied softly, his eyes never leaving hers. Adiz rolled her eyes. You people always have urgent things. Sit down, we'll call you. That smile again, slow, deliberate, dangerous. But he said nothing. Instead, he walked back to his seat, pulled out his phone and typed one line. Send me the bank MD. I'll be in his office in 10. Adiz didn't notice. She was too busy laughing with Cynthia, tossing her weave over her shoulder as if she owned the world. If only she knew the bomb about to explode in her face. Madam Adiz, be like say your customer day enjoy air condition, Cynthia whispered, stifling a laugh as her eyes darted toward the man in jeans lounging calmly in the corner. Adiz rolled her eyes. A beg leave matter. Some people just like to stress person. He go still come ask for 2,000 Nigerian nairas withdrawal like say na poverty headquarters. They both laughed quietly, ignoring the quiet storm brewing across the hall. Then the glass doors slid open with a hiss. A man in a sharp three-piece suit strode in, his forehead shining with sweat. It was Mr. Oladipo, the branch manager. He didn't glance at anyone else. His eyes were locked on the man in jeans. Sir. Good afternoon, sir. You didn't inform us you were coming. The manager's voice boomed, thick with panic and respect. The entire banking hall froze. Even the security guard stopped mid-step. Adiz blinked in confusion as Oladipo practically ran to the man she had dismissed. Mr. Obeler, sir. The manager bowed slightly, almost tripping over his own words. Please this way, sir. The executive lounge is ready. Adiz's heart stopped. Her nails dug into the desk as her brain tried to process what she just heard. Obeler. The name hit like a slap. Everyone in banking knew that name. The CEO of Obeler Technologies, the company powering most of their digital systems. Billionaire. Silent shark. Whispers erupted around the hall. Wait, nah, that Chika Obeler. Jesus. This our manager Don nearly kneeled down. Adiz's eyes darted to Chika. He stood slowly, tall and commanding, his smile calm, dangerous, almost wicked. His gaze swept across the hall and landed on her, pinning her like a butterfly under glass. Their eyes locked. No words. Just that look that said, now you know. Adiz swallowed hard. Heat crawled up her neck as shame gripped her throat like iron. Cynthia squeezed her hand under the desk. Babe. You are finished. As Chica walked past her desk, she tried to speak, but her voice betrayed her, thin, shaky. Officer. I didn't. He didn't stop. Didn't blink. Just brushed past. His cologne trailing like a warning and a promise. The sound of the manager's voice faded as the glass doors to the executive wing closed behind them, leaving Adiz sitting there like a woman who had just seen the devil, and found him sinfully attractive. The call came an hour later. Miss Adiz Okafor. Yes. HR here. Please report to the main office tomorrow morning. It concerns Mr. Obler's visit. The line went dead. Adiz's stomach knotted. I am finished. The next morning, she stood before the glass doors of Obler Technologies, a skyscraper gleaming in the Lagos sun like a monument to wealth and power. She smoothed her pencil skirt, adjusted her blouse, and whispered to herself, Adiz, behave. Just beg. Cry if you have to. The receptionist greeted her with a professional smile. Good morning, Ma. Mr. Obler is expecting you. Expecting me. Her heart lurched as the elevator whooshed her up to the 18th floor. The doors slid open to reveal an office that looked like something out of a movie. Glass walls, polished marble floors, a panoramic view of Victoria Island. And there he was, Chica Obler. He stood with his back to her, gazing out at the city like a king surveying his empire. His navy suit was tailored to perfection, hugging a body that screamed power and discipline. When he turned, his eyes locked on hers, dark, sharp, and unreadable. Miss Okafor, he said, his voice deep and smooth as aged whiskey. Gee, good morning, sir. Her voice cracked. She hated it. He didn't offer her a seat, just leaned against his desk, folding his arms slowly, the movement deliberate, predatory. You judged me yesterday, he began softly, almost like a whisper. By my clothes, my shoes, my simplicity. Adiz's throat tightened. Sir, Shoo. He raised a finger, silencing her. You thought I was beneath you, and you made it very clear. Heat crawled up her neck. Shame burned her cheeks. She forced herself to speak. Sir, I'm sorry. I didn't mean. Oh, you meant it, he cut in, his voice a blade wrapped in velvet. He took a step closer, and she instinctively stepped back. His cologne, rich, smoky, filled her lungs, dizzying her. Tell me, Adiz, he murmured, his tone dropping low. Do you always treat men like trash when you think they have nothing to offer you? Her heart pounded. No, I was wrong. Please don't let this cost me my job. Chica studied her for a long, agonizing moment. Then, slowly, a smile curved his lips. Not warm, not forgiving. Dangerous. Your job. He chuckled softly. Oh no, Adiz. You won't lose your job, on one condition. Her breath hitched. Condition. You'll work on a special project for the next month. Directly under me. Her eyes widened. Under you. The way he said it made her pulse race for all the wrong reasons. Yes, he said, stepping so close she could feel the heat radiating off his body. Consider it a chance to learn humility. Adiz swallowed hard, fighting the shiver creeping down her spine. She should hate him for this. She should feel humiliated. But why did her body betray her? Why did the idea of being near him feel like danger and desire rolled into one? Do we have a deal? He asked softly, extending his hand. Her fingers trembled as she placed them in his. The moment their skin touched, something sparked. Hot, electric, undeniable. Adiz, 9 a.m. sharp. Don't be late. That was all the message said. No greeting. No smiley face. Just authority pressed into text. By 8:50 a.m., she was already in the Obler tech lobby, heart pounding against her ribs. The elevator ride felt like Judgment Day, and when the doors opened to that glass kingdom again, she prayed silently. The receptionist smiled. Mr. Obler is waiting for you. She stepped inside his office and froze. He was seated behind his massive glass desk, sleeves rolled up this time, forearms taut and strong against the dark mahogany surface. His jacket was draped carelessly over his chair. His tie loosened in a way that shouldn't have looked that good, but did. He looked like sin wearing confidence. You're early, he said without glancing up from his laptop. I didn't want to. Good. Sit. The command rolled off his tongue like silk over steel. Adiz sat, clutching her handbag like a shield. He finally looked up, and God help her, those eyes could burn through the strongest pride. This project, he began, pushing a thick file toward her, is sensitive. Every detail matters. Every mistake will have consequences. Do you understand? Yes, sir, she whispered. Good. He leaned back, watching her like a predator assessing prey. I expect excellence, Adiz. Not the arrogance I saw yesterday. Heat rose to her cheeks. She hated how small his words made her feel. I've apologized already, she murmured. And yet, You still look like a woman who thinks she's in control. He smiled faintly, tilting his head. Tell me, Adiz, does it bother you that the man you dismissed now decides your future? Her throat tightened. No, sir. Liar, he said softly, eyes gleaming. The word hit her like a spark. She opened her mouth to respond, but he stood abruptly and walked around the desk, slow, deliberate, until he was standing beside her chair, close enough that his presence wrapped around her like heat. Relax, he murmured, placing the file in front of her. His fingers brushed hers, just a whisper of contact, but it shot through her like lightning. She froze, breath shallow, every nerve awake. You'll shadow me for the next month, he said, voice low, dangerous. Late nights, early mornings. No excuses. You'll learn what real work and real respect looks like. Adiz nodded, praying he couldn't hear her heartbeat thundering in her chest. As he leaned down to point something on the file, his cologne invaded her senses, warm and intoxicating. She shifted slightly, but his hand rested casually on the desk near hers, caging her in without touching. This is just the beginning, he said softly, his breath grazing her ear. Adiz's pulse spiked so violently she thought she might faint. The Lagos skyline glittered like 1,000 secrets as night swallowed the city. Inside Chica's office, the only light came from the desk lamp and the glow of his laptop. The rest of the floor was empty, just the two of them and the silence thick enough to touch. Adiz sat opposite him, flipping through files she barely understood anymore. Her mind wasn't on the numbers. It was on him. On the way his shirt stretched across his chest as he leaned forward. On the deep timbre of his voice when he said her name earlier, like it belonged on his tongue. You're distracted, Chica said suddenly, his eyes flicking up from the screen. No, I'm fine, she lied, keeping her gaze on the document even though her hands trembled slightly. He rose without warning, walking around the desk with slow, unhurried steps. She felt him before she saw him, felt the heat of his presence slide over her skin like a whisper. He stopped behind her chair, close enough that his breath stirred the loose strands of her hair. You've been quiet all evening, he murmured. I'm just focused, she said, her voice thin. Focused? His chuckle was soft, dangerous. Then why are you holding that file upside down? Her heart plummeted. She looked down, and sure enough the file was flipped. Heat flared across her cheeks. She turned sharply, ready to defend herself, only to find his face inches from hers. Her breath hitched. His eyes, dark, molten, searched hers, and for a moment, the world outside ceased to exist. Tell me something, Adiz, he said softly, his voice a velvet caress. Does it bother you, being this close to me? Her pulse hammered in her ears. I know. Why would it? Because, he said, leaning even closer until their foreheads nearly touched. You're breathing like you just ran up 10 flights of stairs. I'm not. Her protest dissolved when his hand moved, slow, deliberate, resting on the back of her chair, caging her in. He didn't touch her skin, but God, it felt like he did. Look at me, he said. And she did. And it was a mistake because looking at him was like falling into something bottomless. Chica. It slipped out before she could stop it. His name, bare and intimate on her lips. His jaw tightened. His eyes darkened. For one reckless second, his hand brushed her shoulder, featherlight, but it burned like fire. The moment stretched, crackling with something neither of them could deny. Then, just as suddenly, he stepped back. Go home, he said curtly, his voice rougher than before. We're done for tonight. She grabbed her bag with trembling hands, but when she reached the door, his voice stopped her. Adiz. She turned, breath caught in her throat. This isn't over. Her knees nearly gave way as she walked out into the cool night air. Her heart screaming the truth her pride refused to admit. She wanted him. And it terrified her. Rain lashed against the glass windows like an angry ocean, turning Lagos into a blur of lights and water. Inside Chica's office, the storm had found its twin. Adiz stood by the desk, clutching a stack of reports, pretending to read. In reality, her eyes stole glances at him, at the way his shirt clung to his chest, sleeves rolled high on forearms that flexed as he worked, at the way his jaw tightened when he concentrated, lips pressed into a line that begged to be kissed. The lights flickered once. Then, darkness. The sudden blackout sucked the breath out of the room. Only the dim glow of the city through rain-streaked glass remained, painting everything in silver and shadow. Damn, Chica muttered, rising from his chair. Generator will kick in soon. But it didn't. Minutes stretched, heavy and slow. The storm outside howled like a warning, but inside it was something else entirely. Are you scared? His voice cut through the darkness, smooth and deep. No, she lied, hugging the papers tighter. Good. Because fear doesn't suit you. His footsteps moved closer, soft against the marble floor. Then silence until she felt it. His presence, right behind her. Chica! Her voice broke on his name. You've been saying that a lot lately, he murmured, and God help her. His breath grazed her ear. The papers slipped from her hands, scattering across the floor like surrender. She turned and froze. He was inches away, his face half lit by the storm's pale glow. His eyes molten heat in the shadows. This is a bad idea, she whispered, her chest heaving. Then why can't you move? His tone was low, dangerous. Intimate. Her pride battled her desire, but her body had already chosen. She didn't move when his hand rose, slow and deliberate, to tuck a damp curl behind her ear. She didn't move when his fingers lingered on her jaw, tracing fire into her skin. Tell me to stop, he said, voice rough. She opened her mouth, but the word never came. Instead, she closed the space between them. The first kiss was soft, testing. Then his restraint snapped, and the second was a claim. Deep, hungry, pulling a gasp from her throat as his arms locked around her waist. She clutched his shirt, dragging him closer, feeling the storm outside match the one raging inside her. The desk became their battlefield, papers crumpling under desperate hands as mouths collided again and again. His lips devoured her, his hands mapping every inch like he owned it. She arched into him, drowning in heat, in want, in everything she'd sworn she'd never feel for him. When they broke apart, breathless, foreheads pressed together, reality came crashing back. This changes everything, he whispered against her lips. I know, she breathed, and kissed him again anyway. The morning after tasted like guilt and heaven. Adiz woke up in her apartment with swollen lips and trembling hands. Her body still hummed from last night. The storm outside, the storm inside, Chica's lips branding her soul. She pressed her fingers to her temples, whispering to herself, what have I done? Her phone buzzed. Over and over. Dozens of notifications. The first message froze her blood. Cynthia. Babe, what's this I'm seeing on Instablog? She opened the link. And her world shattered. Blurry photo. 2 silhouettes pressed against the glass of an office window. His arms caging her in, her hands clutching his shirt. Caption. Giant bank staff spotted in late-night romance with Obler tech billionaire. Who is she? Adiz's chest locked tight. No. Her phone rang again. HR. Or boss. Cynthia. The calls stacked like bricks of doom. She grabbed her bag and flew out the door, rain soaking her as if mocking her shame. By the time she stormed into Chica's office, her breath was ragged, her eyes blazing with panic. He was waiting. To come. Like a man who saw the fire coming and decided to sip wine. You leaked it, she accused, slamming the door shut. Chica raised a brow. If I wanted people to know Adiz, it wouldn't be a blurry photo. Then who? Her voice cracked as tears threatened. My job is on the line, Chica. Everything I've worked for. And you think I don't care? His voice snapped like a whip, sharp enough to still her breath. You think I'd risk my name, my company, my empire, for a game? She froze. He rose from his chair, coming toward her with steps that echoed like thunder in her bones. Do you know what kills me? His voice was low now, rough, raw. That you still don't see it. From the moment you rolled those pretty eyes at me in that bank, I haven't thought straight. And I hate it. I hate how much I... He broke off, standing just inches away, his chest heaving. How much you what? She whispered, her voice trembling like her knees. His hand lifted, slow, deliberate, tracing her jaw. How much I want you, he said finally, like a confession dragged from his soul. Her breath caught. Pride screamed to run. Her heart chained her to the floor. Chica! Her voice cracked under the weight of everything. This is a disaster waiting to happen. Then let it happen, he whispered, and his lips crashed onto hers again. Harder, fiercer, desperate, like the world outside didn't exist. The boardroom smelled of fear and judgment. Adiz sat stiff in a chair that suddenly felt like a throne of thorns. Across from her, HR officers exchanged tight glances. Her branch manager sat stone-faced, and at the far end of the table, the regional head cleared his throat like a hangman adjusting the noose. Adiz Okafor, the head began. You understand the gravity of this situation. Your behavior has brought unwanted attention to the bank. Senior management believes. The doors swung open. Every head turned. Chica Obler walked in like he owned the air they breathed. Tall, dark, devastating in a charcoal suit that looked hand-stitched by the gods. His presence sucked the oxygen out of the room. His gaze slicing through the silence as if daring anyone to speak. Senior management believes what? His voice was calm but laced with steel. The regional head stammered. Mr. Obler, this is an internal. Not when it concerns me, Chica cut in, striding to the head of the table. Not when you're about to destroy the career of the woman who means everything to me. The words hung in the air like an explosion. Adie's breath caught. Everything to me. He planted both hands on the table, eyes blazing. If anyone here thinks they can fire Adie's, they can also kiss goodbye to every digital contract this bank holds with Obler Technologies. And trust me, gentlemen, your bank will not survive without me. A stunned silence swallowed the room. The HR officer shifted uncomfortably. The regional head cleared his throat. Mr. Obler, there's no need for. There's every need, Chica snapped, then straightened. His voice dropping to a lethal calm. So here's what will happen. Dees keeps her job. In fact, he glanced at her, his eyes softening for the first time in weeks. She gets a promotion. Effective immediately. Her mouth fell open. Chica, you can't. Watch me, he said simply, then turned to the room. Any objections? None came. Who would dare? Minutes later, the two of them stood in the hallway, the tension between them a living thing. She stared up at him, her eyes wide with shock, anger, and something deeper, something dangerous. You didn't have to do that, she whispered. Yes, I did, he said, his voice low, his gaze burning into her soul. Because I'm done pretending, Adie's. Done fighting this, he repeated, stepping closer, his hand sliding to her waist. Ooh. Whatever this fire is, I'd rather burn than live without it. Her breath came in ragged bursts. And what if I don't want to burn? Then walk away. He leaned down, his lips grazing hers. But we both know you won't. Her heart screamed. Her pride shattered. And when his mouth claimed hers, she kissed him back with everything she'd been holding in, letting the world fall away. The wedding was small, private, but the whispers were loud. The girl who insulted a billionaire now wears his ring. Adie's walked down the aisle glowing in white, her smile brighter than the diamonds on her hand. Chica waited at the altar, the same man who had walked into her bank in jeans, and walked out with her heart. When the pastor said, "You may kiss the bride," Chica leaned in and murmured against her lips, "Still think I looked broke?" She laughed softly. "You're ridiculous. And you," he said, pulling her close, "are mine." They kissed as the world clapped, proving that sometimes pride burns, but love survives the fire. On the wedding card in bold gold letters, Chica and Adie's, when power met pride, and chose love.